Hi, it's Steph, and we're at Lowe's. And they have a bunch of new perennials and annuals and shrubs. So let's go ahead and take a look around and see what they've got for their May inventory. Check out these beautiful foxgloves. Now, some varieties of foxgloves are perennial and some are biennial. The perennials would return every year, and biennials, they grow their foliage and their root system in 1 year, and then they bloom in the second year, and then they're done. This variety here is the Camelot Rose Foxglove. It is listed as a full sun perennial. These are poisonous. They're toxic to pets and children, or people in general. And that is if they ingest the flowers. So you want to be careful if you do have small children or pets and you're planning on planting foxglove. So this is a larger container here. It looks to be about a 2-gallon for $15.98. And they are hardy down to zone 4. They get to be 36 to 48 inches in height, and they need 18 to 24 inch spacing. But they have these beautiful tubular shaped blooms that hummingbirds and pollinators absolutely love. Lots of salvia. Now this variety is interesting because it has these dark stems. So let's see what it is called. So this is the Cardona salvia. It is a mounding perennial for full sun. This larger container here is $15.98. Gets to be 18 inches high, 18 inches wide. It is cold hardy down to -20 degrees Fahrenheit, and it is a zone 4, so hardy to zone 4, and it is deer resistant, and I can vouch for that. They have a smell that deer do not like, and in my garden these are a workhorse perennial. They do wonderfully. I actually have a video on my channel. If you prune this back a certain way, you can extend your bloom throughout the season, your bloom cycles. So go ahead and check that out if you're interested. But salvia, and right on the side they have some tick seed or coreopsis. Lots of buds, and it's in a pretty golden yellow. And this variety here is called Jethro Tull Coreopsis. $15.98, full sun perennial. Gets to be 15 to 18 inches in height and 18 to 24 inches in width. Hardy down to zone 5 or -10 degrees Fahrenheit. They currently have lots of options for grasses, so let's take a look at some of the varieties. This blue one here is called Elijah Blue Fescue. While it is deer resistant, it is not bunny resistant from what I understand. It's an ornamental grass. It's got a pretty short stature. It likes part sun. These containers here look to be about a 1-gallon for $9.98. And let's see, hardy down to -30 degrees Fahrenheit or zone 3. Gets to be about 10 inches in height and 8 inches in width. Really pretty color foliage. They have some avalanche feather reed grass, which is a variegated grass. Let's see how big this one gets. So this is a full sun ornamental grass for $9.98. It is hardy to zone 5 or -10 degrees Fahrenheit. It gets to be 2 to 3 feet in height and 2 to 3 feet in width. So decent size for a grass. Easily, fits in many different applications, landscape sizes, garden size, etc. And this is what it looks like at the moment. And then of course it'll grow once you plant it. And grasses are really nice transitional plants into the fall because they'll send up their plumes or their panicles, and they're just really beautiful. They offer a lot of texture and movement in the garden. And this is the first time that I've seen this grass at a garden center or at a box store. This is pink muley grass. I'm actually trying to grow this from seed this year. So these are $9.98, these containers here. And the pink muley grass gets these gorgeous pink plumes as we get into fall. They're absolutely beautiful. And the plant says that it's evergreen, so these grass, the grass foliage here would stay evergreen according to the tag. So let's see. The muley grass blooms in the fall. The foliage grows 3 to 4 feet tall by 6 feet wide. The flower stalks go to 6 feet tall, and those are the panicles. And they prefer full sun, tolerate light shade, hardy to 10 degrees Fahrenheit. Lots of peonies. They have a few different varieties. This one here is called Happy Pink. These are, I want to say, about 2 gallons for $19.98. Peonies, part sun, and they're going to be blooming soon. For me here in Zone 6, they usually bloom towards the end of May. And this one here says that it gets to be 3 to 4 feet in height, 3 to 4 feet in width. Now with peonies, they do need some staking because the blooms are so large that they will start to kind of flop. Herbaceous peony specifically definitely needs staking. The Ito peonies need a little less staking because they are crossed between the tree peony and this herbaceous, so they tend to stand a bit more upright. They also have this Happy Salmon variety, which looks really beautiful. And Happy Red. So a few different colors to choose from in these peony containers. And check this one out. It's maroon, Happy Maroon Peony. Gorgeous. These are gorgeous spring flowers and so fragrant. An absolute beauty in the garden. This is what the bloom buds look like. Sometimes people who are new to growing peonies would be alarmed at seeing some ants on this bud, but that's actually part of the process. When you see the ants on here, it's starting to secrete some kind of liquid. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's a secretion that happens right before the peony starts to open. So it is said that the ants help the peony open. I don't know how true that is, but if you see peonies with ants, don't panic. It's part of the process. Some Veronica and some Nepeta. So let's go ahead and take a look at the varieties that they have in stock. The Royal Candle Speedwell. Now, if you like these tall, spiky type flowers, there's a couple of different varieties. The Salvia is a good tall, spiky purple flower. The Speedwell is another one, and even Catmint has a similar shape. So if you're looking for to extend your bloom season and to have these spiky flowers going throughout spring and summer, then just plant some different varieties of flowers in the same color family with a similar shape. So here the Royal Candle Speedwell is an upright perennial. It is a full sun perennial. These containers here are $8.98. It is hardy to zone 4 or -20 to -30 degrees Fahrenheit. They get to be 12 to 24 inches in height and 12 inches in width. And they have a really beautiful violet, blue, purple color. And lots of Nepeta. I actually really like the fragrance on Nepeta. It almost has a bit of a minty smell. I really enjoy it actually. It smells really nice over here right now. This is the Persian Blue Catmint or Nepeta Persian Blue. It is a full sun perennial needing 6+ hours of sun per day. It blooms summer and fall, but with regular deadheading, meaning just cutting off all of the blooms that are done, you will continue to get new blooms throughout the season, new bloom stalks. This is $8.98. And this is hardy, this plant or perennial is hardy to zone 3 or -30 degrees Fahrenheit. And it gets to be 14 to 18 inches in height and 18 to 30 inches in width. You want to plant these in a good amount of sun. They are full sun, but if you have them in a little bit less sun, they tend to get a little bit floppy in the center. Look at this beautiful color lavender on this foxglove. And this is also Camelot foxglove, but it's the lavender variety. And this one says that it's a biennial, and I don't recall if the other one did. I'll have to go back and check on that. But the Camelot lavender foxglove is called a biennial, which means it'll bloom for you this year, and chances are it will not return next year. But you can scatter the seeds around, and then you'll get some seedlings. These self-seed prolifically, so that should not be a problem, unless it was a sterile seed, which in most cases, for these, they're typically not. $15.98. And let's see, these get pretty good size. You want to give them some space. They are hardy to zone 4, hardy, so -20 to -30 degrees Fahrenheit. They get to be 36 to 48 inches in height and 18 to 24 inches in width. The rose, the Camelot rose foxglove, also said biennial. So they will bloom for you this year, but may not come back next year. So something to keep in mind if you decide to purchase a couple of these. And look at this pretty pink salvia. Now typically you see salvia in purple, but in recent years they've started to have more white varieties and pink varieties, and this one here is called Fashionista Moulin Rouge Salvia. $15.98 for this larger container. It is full sun perennial, hardy to zone 3 or negative 30 degrees Fahrenheit. It gets to be 18 to 20 inches in height and 16 to 18 inches in width. Deer resistant. I'm going to show you this really cool touch of class Jacob's Ladder. I actually just bought some this spring, the proven winners version of the Sweet Scent or Heaven Scent Jacob's Ladder. And the difference is this one is variegated. Look at this foliage. And it has these really petite blooms that are like a lavender color. But the foliage is really interesting on this one. So this is the touch of class Jacob's Ladder. It is a shade perennial, $10.98. And it needs 1 to 3 hours of morning sun. Needs moist soil, so keep the soil moist with your watering. And it gets to be 14 to 16 inches in height and 16 to 20 inches wide. Blooms in spring, hardy down to negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit. It says extreme cold hardiness. And yarrow, another really beautiful workhorse perennial. And this one here has a terracotta color. So it starts yellow and then it ages to this really pretty peachy terracotta orangey color. Look at that. So this is another Monrovia plant and it is called Desert Eve Terracotta Yarrow. It is a full sun perennial, $10.98 for these containers here. And it says that it attracts wildlife like birds. It is water wise, which means it can be drought tolerant once established. And it needs 6+ hours of direct sun. Mature size is 8 to 12 inches in height and 8 to 12 inches in width. Blooms summer, hardy down to negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit. This one is beautiful. And check out this Nephofia. Another really cool perennial. So when it's not in bloom, it's just a lot of strappy foliage like this. Almost looks like a grass. But then when it sends up these bloom stalks, look at these. Really pretty. Let's check out the variety on this yellow. So this yellow one here is called, let's see, Pyromania Solar Flare. It is a proven winners perennial for $12.98. Full sun, and it gets to be 36 to 42 inches in height. Always taller when the bloom stalks are up, and it needs 24-inch spacing. It is hardy in zones, let's see if we can focus here, hardy in zones 6 through 9 or down to negative 10 degrees Fahrenheit. So very hardy, and they bloom early to mid-summer. But I really like these, what I call these double interest plants, because you'll get the interest with the foliage. It looks like you have a grass tucked into your bed. It could almost look like daylily foliage. And then it sends up these incredible tall stalks of blooms. Some really pretty and bright phlox. This is also a proven winners plant. And it is the Opening Act Ultra Pink. The Opening Act Ultra Pink is a full sun perennial phlox, $12.98. And let's see, it gets 22 to 28 inches in height, needs 32-inch spacing, hardy in zones 4 through 8 or down to negative 30 degrees Fahrenheit, and it blooms early summer through late summer. It's a really beautiful, vibrant pink. It would look really, really nice paired with things like a golden yellow coreopsis or even the light yellow moonbeam coreopsis. And some purple spiky flowers like the Veronica Speedwell or even Salvia or Nepeta. In addition to the large containers of Salvia, they also have the smaller ones. So this one is Sally Rosa April Night Salvia. It's a mounding perennial for full sun. This container here is $8.98. And it is hardy to zone 4, which is really hardy, negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit. Gets to be 12 to 15 inches in height and 12 to 18 inches in width. Really pretty color. Let's check out some shrubs. So here is a really pretty vibrant chartreuse green yellow spirea, and this is a Monrovia spirea called, let's see, Lil Sizzle Spirea. So that's a creative name. And it is a full sun or partial sun. Says it's reblooming. It's a Monrovia exclusive. These are $39.98. And let's see how big it gets. So it looks like this one gets to be, it's hardy in zones 4 through 9 or down to negative 30 degrees Fahrenheit. And it gets to be 2 to 3 feet tall and wide. So it's a compact, very similar to say the Proven Winners, Big Bang, or even maybe the candy corn, but the candy corn might be slightly smaller, but similar color foliage. And I want to say the price point is just a little bit lower on the Proven Winners versus the Monrovia, at least in my store. The smell attracted me to this one, a lilac. This is a Miss Kim Korean lilac. It's a beautiful lilac. They like full sun in order to bloom best. This one here says that it is the light, it prefers partial to full sun, water when the top 2 inches of soil is dry, blooms in spring, and it is hardy in zones 4 through 8 or down to negative 30 degrees Fahrenheit. And average size, it's slow growing, reaches 6 to 8 feet tall and wide or more with age. So of course they always continue to grow if they're happy, but really nice fragrance on lilacs. You know, I learned something about lilacs, that back in the day they used to plant a lot of them out in the yard around outhouses to disguise the smell of the bathroom. Isn't that interesting? Little history on lilacs. And this particular one here is $46.98. It looks to be about a 2-gallon container. And some beautiful variegated dogwood. Now I added some of the Ivory Halo variegated dogwood last season for the winter interest it provides. They get red twigs in the winter, which is really pretty. And they have this variegated foliage in the growing season. These also bloom, but the blooms are kind of insignificant, some small clusters of white blooms. You grow this most for the winter interest and for this variegated foliage. So this is a full partial sun shrub, vivid winter color, dramatic foliage. This particular one looks to be, maybe this is a 3, it says it's a 3.5-gallon container for $74, which is a little steep, but if you're looking to create some winter interest, you might be able to find some off-brand varieties, but this is the Monrovia one. And the light, it needs partial to full sun, keep the soil moist. It blooms late spring to summer, hardy in zones 2 through 8. So hardy in zones 2 through 8, so extremely hardy, down to negative 50 degrees Fahrenheit. And average size, it reaches 6 to 8 feet tall, 4 to 6 feet wide in 10 years. This isn't the most beautiful azalea I have ever seen. Check this out. So unique. It's shades of salmon, apricot, and cream. Absolutely stunning. So this is by Monrovia, the Cannon's Double Azalea. It is a full partial sun azalea. It has dramatic fall color. Oh, that's awesome. It might have some pretty foliage in the fall. And early blooms, it is $79. And let's see, it gets to be about 6 feet tall, 4 feet wide, and it likes moist soil but not soggy. Hardy in zones 5 through 9 or down to negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit. Absolutely beautiful. $79, and this is 3.5 gallons. And a viburnum, another beautiful spring bloomer. They're very similar in appearance. There's a couple of different varieties. So this double file one looks very similar to, say, the mountain or serrata type hydrangeas. And then there's the snowball variety that looks very similar to, say, the arborescens type or the smooth hydrangeas. But these are earlier blooming. And these bloom in spring where the others will bloom in summer. The hydrangeas bloom in summer. So viburnums will give you the same effect for a spring bloomer or spring shrub. So this is a full or partial sun shrub. It has spring bloom, superior quality, $74. It's a 3.5 gallon. This is, again, the double file viburnum. These do have some pretty fall color, and their leaves are really pretty because they have this serrated look to them, or ribbed, really pretty. And let's see how big these get. So it water when the top 2 inches of soil is dry. It blooms late spring, hardy in zones 5 through 8 or down to negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit, and it gets to be 6 to 8 feet tall and 8 to 10 feet wide. And it's just starting to bloom. Has a really pretty, like, open shape. Here are a couple of more affordable lilacs. They also smell amazing. This is the Lowe's house brand in the black nursery container. So let's go ahead and check out this variety. So this is the Lilac Charles Jolly Red, and it is $44.98. It doesn't, I can't find, oh, here's a tag. Let's see. So this variety here gets to be, it's hardy to zone 3 or negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit. And it gets to be, let's see, 8 to 10 feet tall by 6 feet wide, and it likes full sun. Also really beautiful blooms and so fragrant. Lots of dappled willows. Now these are beautiful shrubs, but they get really, really big and wild. So make sure that if you plant one of these, you have a lot of space. Willows also like water. So if you have an area with some sitting water, this might be a good option. So this is a large container. I want to say, oh yeah, it's 4.5. I was going to go with a 5 gallon. It's a 4.5 gallon container. It's the dappled willow Hakuru sauce, Hakuru Nishiki. $39.98. Needs 3 to 6 hours of morning sun. It is a variegated foliage shrub which has lots of colors. When it first emerges, the new foliage is like a pink and a cream, really pretty. It says the average size is 4 to 6 feet high and 4 to 6 feet wide. It is hardy down to zone 4 or negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit. And this is what the foliage looks like. Here's an example of some newer foliage that has that creamy color with a hint of pink. Lots of shrubs still in stock as well. These are the evergreen shrubs. This is a really pretty lemon thread false cypress. This yellow color against green in the garden really pops and has a really pretty graceful arching branching shape. It likes full sun. If you have it in a little bit of shade, they stay a little bit more on the green side. This container here is maybe just over or around a gallon for $13.98. It gets to be 3 to 5 feet in height, 2 to 4 feet wide, hardy down to zone 4 or negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit. Lemon thread false cypress. Look at that. Beautiful bright yellow evergreen. And these blue rug junipers are a great option for ground covers. So these are $10.98. They're a full sun. They have this green with a bit of a blue cast to them. And these make a great option for ground cover. So eventually over time, this will grow kind of like a carpet and will cover a lot of your soil. And that way you have to use less mulch as time goes on, which is always a really good option. So full sun. These like full sun, and they get to be 1 foot in height and 8 feet wide. Hardy down to zone 3 or negative 30 degrees Fahrenheit. Lots of annuals as well. Here are some pre-made containers. These are the proven winners, and they do these recipes in their containers now where they combine different colors that are complementary. And these containers here have a decorative pot. They are $46.98. And they consist of some petunias, some calabricoa, and then some cordyline in the center to give it some height. This container or recipe they call sunglasses, and it has this striped petunia, the calabricoa, and also the cordyline. We're in mid-spring now, so you still have some time to put in some living fences or living hedges, and lots of arborvitae in stock. Look at this little one. It's called Pretty Polly. Reminds me of Polly Pocket. So it looks like it's going to be more petite and compact. It's also by Bloomables. It's a rose. 2 gallon for $24.98. And this one here says this variety has beautiful lavender double flowers that bloom spring through fall. Disease resistant, which is super important when you're looking for roses, is their disease resistance. Because roses, at least for me, are very susceptible to disease. And it needs full sun, height 1.5 feet height, 2 feet width. So really small. So this is like a drift rose or a front of the border rose. Something you'd want to kind of put right along the front, maybe lining your flower bed. This would be a good option for that. Look at those petite blooms. Hardy in zones 4 through 10. Some proven winners, Potentilla. This is something that I've only become aware of this plant since last year. It looks like it has a really soft foliage, almost looks like it's a perennial, but grown as a shrub, if that makes sense. So this is a 2 gallon. It is called Happy Face Hearts, Potentilla. Let's see, that's what the blooms look like. Sweet little pink blooms with a yellow center. They like sun and part shade, hardy in zones 2 through 7, down to -50 degrees Fahrenheit, so really hardy. And they're small, so 1 to 2 feet tall and wide. It says it's native, long blooming, and cold hardy. And these are $29.98 for a 2-gallon. They're not yet in bloom, but you can see where they're starting to create some buds. Some Bloom Easy roses. This one's called Peach Lemonade Rose, and it has a couple of blooms on them. They look like a light pink and almost like a very buttery or creamy yellow. And these here are 2 gallons for $29.98. Let's see, how big do these get? 2 to 3 feet tall, 2 to 3 feet wide. They need 6+ hours of sun, and they thrive in zones 3 through 9, or hardy down to -40 degrees Celsius and 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Some Weigela. I really love some dark foliage Weigela, because even when the blooms are done, they have these little pink trumpet style or shaped blooms that the pollinators love. The hummingbirds like anything that's tubular shaped like this. You still have this beautiful foliage that provides interest even long after the blooms are gone. So the dark foliage is a nice backdrop for all of your other green perennials. So here it is. It looks like it's a petite shrub. I grow the Wine and Roses by Proven Winners in my garden, which is a little bit larger. This variety here by Bloom Easy gets to be 3 to 4 foot tall and 3 to 4 foot wide. It needs 6+ hours of sun, and it thrives in zones 4 through 7. 2 gallons, $29.98. So I guess even these aren't prone to not getting yellow spots. See, this is what happens in my garden, but the roses are so petite and pretty. These are called Pinktopia. Look at that. These are Easy Elegance, shrub rose, fuss proof, growing beautiful roses, no longer a thorn in your side. Oh, isn't that cute? And let's see, they get 4 feet high and 3 feet wide. And let's see, they are hardy to zone 5. Lots of boxwood available also. This is the Green Mountain boxwood. They're great for hedging, for using as topiary or as an accent shrub. They need part sun, so these are a good evergreen for a part sun situation, and they're also relatively deer resistant. Let's see, these are $13.98, and they get to be 4 to 5 feet in height, 2 to 3 foot spacing, or 2 to 3 feet wide. And they're pretty hardy. Let's see, hardy to zone 5, -10 degrees Fahrenheit. These have a bunch of new growth, so they look really healthy. And if you wanted to topiary these, you could just look through them and see if you can find any that have a single stem, or even just look for shape. Kind of look around and see if there's one that you can prune off the extra stems, and you can do like one of those lollipop topiaries. They also look really nice shaped into a cone. These are also a great option for containers. So instead of planting annuals, you can always use something like a boxwood or some kind of evergreen, and it can stay in your container year round. The rule with choosing an evergreen to place in a container planting is that you want to find something that is at least 2 zones hardier than your zone. So for example, this says it is hardy to a zone 5. So if you were a zone 7, this would be a great option for a container. I'm actually in a zone 6, and even 1 zone colder, these would probably be fine in a container in my garden. Look at this, some Knockout Rose topiary. Knockout Rose is by the Star brand in these green containers. And it looks like they have the double red, and the double red is right here. It's a really pretty shade of red. I have the double pink in my garden. $59.98, and these are 5 gallon. Knockout roses are the easiest rose that I grow in my garden. I have quite a few English roses, and these are the only ones that don't give me much trouble. And some hydrangeas. These are the Endless Summer brand hydrangeas, the Macrophylla type, or Macrophylla, and they're the mop head, what they call the mop head type hydrangeas. There are panicles that can take more sun, and then there's these varieties, the Macrophylla or the mop heads, that need a bit more shade to do better. So this one here is called Summer Crush, and it likes morning sun, afternoon shade. It gets to be 18 to 36 inches tall and wide, which is a wonderful shape. It will fit in many different garden applications because it is small. So whether you have a large garden or a small garden, you're bound to find a spot for this that it would fit. And it's hardy down to -30 degrees Fahrenheit or zone 4, and the color will depend on how acidic or alkaline your soil is. So if you have more acidic soil, it'll lean towards the blue or purple, and if you have more alkaline, you'll get more of a purpley pink color. And these are 2 gallons for $27.98. They also have the Bloomstruck, and this one is a little bit larger. It gets to be 3 to 4 feet in height and 4 to 5 feet in width. Hardy down to negative 30 degrees Fahrenheit, and the same with the color. More acidic, you'll get more of a blue, and more alkaline, you'll get more of a purple. And these are 3 gallon for $37.98. And they're all nicely budded. Look at this. Lots of buds on these. This one here. This one's already starting to open up. And if you're looking for an interesting blue-gray foliage shrub, look no further than this guy here. This is the Iceberg Alley Sage Leaf Willow. I actually added 2 of these to my garden last year. It just finished blooming. The blooms are these little catkins that you see here, almost similar to, say, like a pussy willow. And then once it's done blooming, it sends out all of this beautiful blue-gray foliage. It actually almost looks like the herb sage. Really pretty. Nice blue contrast to all of your other shrubs and evergreens. So this one here, the Sage Leaf Willow Iceberg Alley, is by the First Editions. And they always have these cool sayings on their tags. This one says, no rain, no gain. And this one here likes water, so I planted it in a bed that stays pretty wet, so it has lots of moisture for it. And it doesn't like to stay soggy, but it just needs consistent moisture. Willows, because willows like water. And the size on this one gets to be 3 to 6 feet tall and wide, and it is hardy down to zone 2, so very, very hardy. It likes full sun, it has silver foliage, and water needs are medium to high. Let's see how much these are. This is a 2 gallon container for $27.98. And we checked out the double file viburnum. Here is another style of double file viburnum. This one is opening day, and this one has more of the baseball sized white blooms, similar to a mophead or smooth hydrangea. So this one here, the opening day viburnum, is by First Edition Shrubs. See, the tag says down to earth, and let's see the specs on this one. It gets to be 6 to 8 feet tall and wide. It is hardy down to zone 5 through zone 8, and it likes full sun to part shade. Dark green foliage that has some fall color. It does change a little bit in the fall to some reddish orange tones. And it has medium water needs. And again, it has a really pretty texture on the foliage. And these are 2 gallons for $27.98. Here's a proven winner shrub called Deutzia. So this one is called Chardonnay Pearls. This is a good candidate for a container as well, using some shrubs. It has these really dainty white blooms in the spring. It says it's an award winner. It likes sun or part shade, hardy in zones 5 through 8 or down to negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit, and it's petite, which would make it great for a container. It gets to be 1.5 feet by 3 feet tall and wide. Chardonnay Pearls Deutzia, and it is a 2 gallon container for $27.98. And the foliage looks really pretty, nice and healthy. And some proven winners, Fun and Games I Spy, and this is a Heucherella. And let's see, it's a perennial, $12.98 for this container, and it says that it gets 8 to 10 inches in height, and then of course taller once it sends up the bloom stalks, which this one has, and I'll show you. And it needs 16-inch spacing, hardy in zones 4 through 9 or down to negative 30 degrees Fahrenheit, blooms late spring to early summer, and it likes part shade to shade. Check out this foliage and these blooms. Now this one is a little past its prime, but if you were to buy it and plant it, cut it back, it'll return for you beautifully next year as it is perennial. But look how interesting this foliage is. Almost looks like a maple leaf, really pretty. And this is what the bloom stalks look like. These really dainty, light pink blooms. Check out these pretty Asiatic lilies. This one's called Tiny Diamonds. I actually have this one in my garden, and it's really, really pretty. Tons and tons of bloom heads here, buds. So this is a Monrovia Asiatic lily called Tiny Diamond. It likes full sun to partial sun. It is a perennial, $10.98 for this container. It's extreme cold hardiness, and it is like semi-moist soil, and gets to be 12 to 14 inches in height and 10 to 12 inches in width. Blooms in summer and hardy negative 20 to negative 30 degrees Fahrenheit. Here's some more containers of these drop and bloom or ready refill containers. These are by proven winners. Really pretty combinations, nice bright summer colors. They even have some with some reds and some yellows and pinks and purples. Lots to choose from. And these are a great option. Again, if you don't like to create your own containers, take one of these home, drop it in your planter, and you are good to go. And it tells you what size planter it fits in. So this is a large. It is $26.98 and it fits into a 13-inch planter. And the coleus is out. So they usually wait here in my zone 6 until closer to, say, between Mother's Day and Memorial Day to bring out the coleus because they're not cold hardy. But this one is really pretty. These are the small containers by Monrovia. It's called Flamethrower Chipotle Coleus. It is $4.98. It is an annual. It likes partial sun. And check that out. Now don't let this size fool you. These get ginormous by the end of the season. And this one is called Flamethrower Spiced Curry. Really pretty. Some sweet potato vine. These also get really, really large as the season progresses. I really like the dark one. The dark one looks really pretty against, say, a light planter, and then the green varieties look really nice against dark planters. It's always nice to coordinate your plants with the container that you're putting them in. So this is called Sidekick Black Sweet Potato Vine. It is an annual and it is $4.98. This looks to be about a quart-size container. Some Empress Woo hosta. Now, hosta are very attractive to deer, but I have heard some people say that the more ribbed the foliage is, the less attractive it is to them. And Empress Woo is a very large hosta. It's quite impressive once it gets to its full mature size. These are by Proven Winners, and it says it is Hosta of the Year, the Shadowland Empress Woo, $12.98. It likes part shade. It is a perennial, and let's see how big it gets. It gets to be, it needs 60-inch spacing. It gets to be 3 to 4 foot tall and wide. Yeah, that's good size. And it's hardy in zones 3 through 9 or down to negative 35 degrees Fahrenheit. Some more color combo planters. This one here has some lobelia, so it'll probably do better in a part shade situation. And they are $26.98. Look how pretty that is. Well, this brings us to the end of our tour today. I hope that you've enjoyed spending your time with me and checking out all of the inventory for May at Lowe's. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, please hit the thumbs up button, and please consider subscribing so you don't miss any of my future videos. And we'll see you soon.